Welcome back, everyone. We are back on the CJJC show, where it's always fun to say that name twice. And we just got back from the divisional round playoffs of the NFL, and we are currently watching the college football national championship with Notre Dame and Ohio State. They just hit halftime. Ohio State up 21 to 7. Notre Dame just made it pretty interesting right off the bat. And then Ohio State pretty much that offense is just one of the best offenses in college football, as you can tell. And when you have a guy like I just saw his name, Jeremiah Smith. He had the first touchdown of the game, and and you got Iboka. Anyways, we're not much of the college football guy here, but that was an impressive showing by the Ohio State offense in the first half. Will Howard and all them. And to any prospective Jets people or people, I guess, in general who have their hopes up for Riley Leonard, hopefully he shows up in the second half here. So we'll probably get some live reactions out of the game while that's happening. We're going to be recapping what happened in the divisional round of the NFL, like I mentioned at the beginning of this. And I'm going to keep the tradition alive because I don't have Colby with me again this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do four NBA things, bump the number up to one because I figured last time I kind of went a little Eastern heavy. So this time, make sure I talk a little bit more about the Western Conference teams. And I sprinkled in an Eastern question. So we'll keep it fun and everything. We'll keep it pretty light for the most part because I do have a couple things to say. Because I mean, it's only four games, folks. So we'll just talk about, yeah, we're just going to talk about the reactions here. All right. I pretty much got like three, four react. This is the first game is the only one I have only three reactions to. The rest usually have a couple stemmed off. So sit back and enjoy, guys. All right, here we go. First game off the list was the first one played. It's going to be Houston versus Kansas City. My first reaction to this was, well, meet Tom 2.0. And what do I mean by that? Well, of course, he has an amazing playoff percentage winning record already off the bat. He's been in the playoffs and pretty much since Brady beat him and everything. It was pretty much a hand of the torch game, if you ask me. But anyways, Mahomes has been around for a long time doing this. I think they said it was like 2018 now. So that sounds about right because it's when I bought the jersey. Well, it was right around that early stage. Oh, hand up right here. I'll hand up. I bought him a Mahomes jersey, but I bought this when he was very young in his career. So I just called my shot early. Just call it like I see it. Anyways, what I mean by what he feels like with TB12 here is it's not the playing style because Mahomes does this whole running thing. And this is the whole point of my tangent here is he knows how to work the rules, just like Tom did. Tom Brady knew how to work the rules too. He knew how to get that nice toss up when he sees a pass interference call. He'll throw that ball really quick. He knows his matchups. He knows the guys to draw the fouls. And they had to change the rules and everything for him. And now people are already talking about how they have to change the rules for Mahomes again. In this case, this just Mahomes is really good at working the rules. I mean, let's get real with it. People are frustrated with the coach, with the refereeing. Well, it's because Mahomes was able to coordinate his way there, if you ask me. I think it's just the way that, these dynasties, this is how the excuses come. And I kind of see it again, same trend that Tom Brady was doing way back when he was just, like I said, just chucking it up. He knew he would, him and Rodgers, if you think it wasn't Brady, let's not forget about Rodgers too. He has also a good chunk of his yards given to him through passing interferences. Because I know first-handedly being a Vikings fan, trust me, it was some hard stuff, but it's unstoppable. I mean, and it's very, what can you say? It makes you feel like there's no hope in the AFC once again. A little bit almost like Tom Brady here. Um, and just to expand on that, the Chiefs are just doing what every, I guess, good dynasty team does. They play good clutch football on third downs and dark magic happens. I mean, that's what most people would like to consider it, but I mean, it's just rather that special teams play where they just excel in one play that breaks the game essentially and favors them right back into puts momentum back into their favor. It's the third downs that they always somehow keep converting. Travis Kelce just being wide open. I mean, what the heck can you do, man? It's pretty challenging if you were playing against that. It's almost how I would always describe playing against all Madden. Is like you will play them on defense, you can stop them every single down up till third down. And then you're like, somehow the CPU is probably going to convert this unless I do some insane audible, you know? Like it's kind of how you feel when you play against the Chiefs here. And the only way you can beat them is if you have dark magic of your own. So it's gonna be an uphill battle, to be quite honest with you. And we'll go through my reactions at the end here because the AFC is looking very bleak. But and to build off of that, I mean, let's spin this to Houston here. All right, let's get off of the whole Kansas City hype train. Let's go talk about Houston. I mean, let's keep it real. This is another divisional exit in a tough conference here. Is this the ceiling for some of these fun AFC teams? Whether if they don't have that potential to break through the top three, which is usually given to one of the AFC North quarterbacks, Lamar or Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow just didn't make the playoffs because I guarantee you he probably would have been favored in some matchup, and then we probably would have saw him this weekend. But let's think about it. If you're not one of those top three, and then you add Josh Allen and Mahomes, you don't really have a chance. And we're seeing right now that is literally what's coming true time and time again here in the AFC. So we'll see what happens. I think when it comes down to it, it's still an impressive season for the Texans, regardless, because there was no sophomore slump. Technically, you did make the divisional round again, like you did in your, if you were expecting, growth, and yes, technically that marker would have been just making the AFC championship game. But in this case, you played against the AFC champ, the reigning AFC champion, and presumably might be the favorite. To some, might be the favorite. Can't wait till Thursday. I can't wait. But anyways, I got a couple days to think about that. But anyways, like I said, they can what else can you pull from this if you're Houston? Well, can you pull the injury card? And this is something that I went and looked up before and everything after the game. Like, could Houston pull the injury card for this one? Because some of the people are saying that they just needed more weapons. And you think about it, they did go out and get weapons. So they pretty much came out here with the same exact squad as they did last year offensively, um, because they didn't have Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs and everything. They missed two offensive linemen. I don't know if they were starters, but they listed out two offensive linemen and Jerry Hughes, who I actually caught the name. I knew that one, and Devin White. Those are two pretty decent names to know. If you're a defensive guy, you probably heard those names before. So especially Jerry Hughes, I think he's pretty old, but Devin White, I'm pretty sure he's pretty solid still. But anyways, can they pull the injuries card? Did it play a true factor into this game? That's the only little side caveat I have here. Like, did it really play enough of a factor for them to uphold, maybe pull this thing off? I don't know, man. I truly don't think so. I think this is just one of those things where, like I said, if there's 1 year where you can probably have both AFC North quarterbacks or Mahomes, Allen having an off season, maybe that's the time where they could finally break through that ceiling and make an AFC championship game. And I'm titling this for both him, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, I don't know, Dame Tua, like pretty much almost every AFC quarterback. Yeah, that's not from that doesn't meet those requirements. It's that insane if you think about it. So that's just how I thought about that game, Houston versus Kansas City. Um, Obviously, like I said, it makes the AFC sound very, very bleak. But the next game gave a lot of fans a lot of hope and a lot of fun, or at least it gave me a little bit of hope, a little bit of my petty hope, I should say, because Washington played the Detroit Lions at Detroit and came up with the upset again, back to back on the road victories for Washington. They got a taste of blood like a shark, and they just kept going, and they're feasting. It's very fun to watch, but that wasn't even the real quote that I came up with. I just felt that one because the real quote I wrote down was Cinderella just broke the clock. I mean, goodness, Jaden Daniels outstarred Jared Goff, and what many people, well, not many people, but I have seen Nick Wright. This is one of the things that he has knocked on Goff is he can just be a guy. He can just be a regular casual citizen and not a superhero. And then you know what? I think that's 100% true now. Because guess what? Stafford can only be in the league for so long. NFC is going to need a new superstar. By golly, I think Jaden Daniels might have just stolen that spot. He's probably the rising star now. I would hope that there's another one brewing in the NFC as well. And I've obviously got my own bias and JJ McCarthy's bounce back season. But right now, the story is about Jane Daniels. And this kid's just playing out of his mind. I can't believe I caught some flack because I right hand said, didn't see him doing that. I was like, hey, I didn't think he would be this good, going to an NFC conference championship game. I caught flack because he was like, oh yeah, he's a Heisman. Oh, you should have known this. No Heisman. When was the last Heisman rookie to make it all that title right there, Heisman rookie to make this kind of run? Tell me, please. I was going to look it up, but that Heisman list was just half chalked with either bad names or guys that weren't playing in the QB position. So, and I was also on company time, so can't really look it up too much. Couldn't really go too deep into the research it finds. But that's something that I would also throw out there. Like what he's doing right now is extraordinary. It's one of the best stories in the league, one of the ones that they didn't even come up with themselves if you're against the script. This is one of the good ones. Um, and the crazy thing is, the story gets to keep on going. They get to play against their division rival, which we'll talk about up next, of course. But they really did break the clock. And so my second thought here, I got two more for the Commanders. My second one here is all the flack that was all given to Cliff Kingsbury at the beginning of the season, where people were giving him a hard time about how simplified this offense is. And my quote is, sometimes simple works. It's that easy. I mean, Cliff and Jaden just obviously have a huge offensive growth going from just whenever people were making fun of that and pointing it out. Pretty sure that was the Bears, I want to say, or one of the teams prior to that big game. And ever since, they've been on a tear. They had a little hiccup, of course, but who cares now when you're having this much fun, right? So offensively, though, you got to think about it, and you love to see it for Scary Terry. First of all, you love to see it. The guy has earned this moment. And what I mean by that is he was there from past ownership. And he put in his time. He definitely put in his time. He's put up good numbers, almost like Mike Evans. How Mike Evans was in Tampa Bay, and it was just a long time until once Tom Brady got there, he kind of got more attention. It got his Super Bowl ring, and now he's back to just. I mean, he's still tearing it up with Baker. Let's be real. So yeah, he's almost like a Mike Evans guy, where he was just waiting for the right matchup, waiting for that one quarterback to just rekindle that spark, or at least give him a kick, into stardom. And luckily for Scary Terry, he was already a household name for some. And add on the fact that now you got this X Factor QB where everyone has bought in, including your offensive coordinator, who is great with developing young quarterback talent. It's gonna be interesting to see how they build off of this. I hope he doesn't fall flat. That is the only concern I have with Cliff Kingsbury and everything. Still have to be concerned just because of his old coaching history, but also remember he's an offensive guy. If he just stays in his lane, he might not even have to worry about it. So who knows how long that will last. And if they actually punch the ticket, to the Super Bowl, who knows? He might actually try and stick around, or who knows what happens if they win this thing, right? And that's going to be the key here is how do they win this thing? How do they actually punch their ticket? And I was thinking about it. They kind of got in the shootout here with Detroit, but Detroit is also a heavily offensive powered machine. So you got to give them a little bit of a break, in my opinion. So going forward, I feel like the key X factor is not even going to be about the offense. It's going to have to be the defense. We're going to need a physical, boring football game, I feel like, coming from the defense, because that's what Eagles are going to deliver to you. They're just going to give you Saquon until you can't handle it anymore. And then they're just going to hit you over the top with A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, or Dallas Goedert was running free a few times. So they got the guys to hit you over the top. But Dan Quinn's defense is definitely going to have to still play a huge part, I feel like, for this next game coming up. Um, I'll go more expand on that on Thursday, hopefully. But for the Lions, what can I give the Lions to end their hat on for the season? It's pretty hard, honestly, because I wrote this mid take, and when this was being written, I even put a star next to it. Ben Johnson does go to the Bears. Very fast. That was so fast. This is Monday that I'm recording this. The game was literally on Saturday night. That was quick. He had that in mind. He must have been. I've seen a take on TikTok that said that he was going to be spited because of Jaden Daniels beating him, that he's going to the Bears just so that way he can help Caleb Williams improve his point there. That'd be pretty funny, but obviously you do have a guy in Caleb Williams. And he's seen him twice. That's the other half. He has played against Caleb Williams twice. So very interesting that he chose the Bears. Obviously, I'm a little salty because he's staying in the division. And yeah, I have an offense. I think the division technically all around is an offensive division now. So it's gonna be fun football in NFC North for sure. Unless you want to classify LaFleur as a defensive guy and just the way he draft, just the way his teams have been playing of recent. But I think it's just still more power West Coast run football for him. Anyways, Lions. Good news outside of actually, I have no good news. I'm sorry. Besides this. You could use the injury card. That you are the team that can use the injury card. And you got the coach that's in Dan Campbell. So you can't feel too bad. Yes, this wasn't your year. That stings. You had the number one seed, you had 15 wins, all of it, blah, 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 blah. You can over here and say, oh, that's just your classic Lions. Well, guess what? Your Vikings are right there beside you with 14 as a number five seed and still lost favored. So altogether, both teams, we're both cursed. We're both stuck in what you may think is purgatory. But for your case, you can definitely use the injury card. You can definitely still have a shot for next season, even though I did say that Goff might be just a regular guy. Well, guess what? The regular guy sometimes doesn't have to do it all because he made a Super Bowl before, and especially when his team just stayed on the field most of the time. And you had a lot of stars, a lot of people injured. And the only thing I had to think of when it came to the Lions is because of the Ben Johnson action. And like I said, I wrote this take literally maybe a minute or 2 minutes after before the news broke. And that is, did the Lions window get closed? Is and for the Ben Johnson to leave, and you hear the news about Glenn Allen, probably saying his name, Aaron Glenn. There we go, Glenn Allen. I think that's a school area near here. Aaron Glenn. When you hear that he is a potential candidate as well going for interviews, you have to really consider Dan Campbell either A is going to be doing a bunch of great. He's going to have to cook up. Him and the GM are going to have to cook up something here in the off season. And that's just retaining staff wise, because the OC is going to probably take a couple of guys with him. The DC is probably going to take a couple of guys with him. You're going to have to get a lot of new minds going into this plan now. And how strong is your brand going forward? I feel like that is going to be the most important question for the Lions is how can they keep this thing going without losing themselves and their own identity? And that is taking those risks. Can the next guy come in and fill that, know what they do, play it to their strengths, and understand the moment when Dan Campbell does do these things? And Ben Johnson's been there since Dan Campbell was in Miami. There was a picture where it was like both of them in Miami. So they've been together for a long time. It's a strong relationship. How is that going to be replaced next season? Is the window still open for these guys? I would say yes. I don't know how long. The real question is when would we consider the window closed? And I feel like that question is determined by Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, and Jordan Love. It's going to be, again, the Lions' fate and future being dependent on their divisional rivals. I hate to say it, but it's true. Those three guys are all three young quarterbacks in the NFC. They're all going to have to play each other 6 times. And the best thing about the Lions is you drafted the defense to prepare yourself for this, essentially. You do have a young defense that's going to cause some problems. They have star talent on defense. We know that, and they pretty much hit on every single defensive pick. So it's going to be very, very interesting next season for how just the NFC North in general is going to be played just based off of this game now, to be completely honest, because Everyone lost in the playoffs. Everyone was one and done. The funny stat going around right now is the Bears have the best record in the year 2025 because they beat the Packers and everything on week 18. So it is what it is and everything. It's got I can't believe the Bears got the biggest winner here is obviously the Bears, but shout out to the Commanders for keeping the curse alive because I'm not gonna lie, I was like I said, the little petty in me was getting a little concerned about where the Lions are going here. All right, now to the Sunday slate. First game off the bat is going to be, as promised, Rams versus the Eagles. Talking about the now NFC Championship matchup here soon. But as for the divisional round, Rams had to go to Philadelphia, and boy, oh boy, did that snow from all of Sunday, honestly, really play a key factor in this game. Um, Eagles come out on top on this one, so they're going to get a little bit more of the spotlight, of course. For the Eagles, this their storyline is, or my quote for them for this story is, they beat the storylines again. And key thing here is they always come up week in and week out with some sort of drama. Something's going on, right? Something's up with the Eagles, but they always somehow keep on keeping on. They just keep on overcoming whatever that drama was. They still keep winning football games. They overcome all this quote unquote. I like to say the only reason why I put in quotes on is because it's self-made adversity. Um, but they keep doing it. They keep winning. And it's almost to the point where it's like, man, this is a very uniform team. This is one of the two teams that went out, got a star running back, and they're using it to their success here. And it's working out really well. And it's pairing off great with our running back quarterback, or at least our run heavy quarterback, because Jalen Hurts, I think that's the only thing that they're giving him crap for right now is that he had an under, I think it was 200-yard game or something like that. Look, like I've been saying it time and time again, he is a game manager and whatever works works. That's just their offense. It works for them. We know if you hate it, it's because you know it's coming and they still have yet to figure it out. It's almost old school Patriot football, to be quite honest. That's why there's a difference between Tom 2.0 and the original Tom. It's because 2.0 at least is a little more fun on the offensive side. Is that who's scoring right now? Who's number one? He's just breaking a breakaway. I wish I could see his name. Oh, he got hawked. He got chased down at the 3. That is Iboka, I'm pretty sure. Because, yeah, that was not Jeremiah Smith. So, once again, Ohio State just tearing it up on offense. Good golly. I mean, it's not even, it's almost to the point where this game's about to be over, folks. Now Notre Dame is in a must score situation no matter what, because first play, 96 yard, almost a house call. It's insane. They're backing him up really far. They backed this ball up like twice. Now it's at the 5 yard line. But oh well, back to the Eagles here, and it's their step back to their game management style and everything. And that's the whole point of the way they play. They have a powerful offensive line. We all know about them still. They have Saquon Barkley, and it puts a lot of pressure on opponents, and it works really well. And the weather's on your favor, and it's the playoffs. And it's the playoffs. We've seen this before, guys. I feel like that's the main reason why people are just getting a little more tend to be a little more upset with Nick Sirianni. It's probably because they're trying to find a way to get him out of there and make the Eagles more dynamic, as in just loosey goosey. I don't think that would even work because Jalen Hurts is just a basic bread and butter guy. It doesn't seem like he would just, even if the coach change happened, he would probably just bring whatever that mentality is, that basicness, and just try and make it work for him there. And and credit when credit's due, it's winning them football games. So it puts a lot of pressure. It works even more in the playoffs and especially in the snow because you're taking the time away. And then when you're playing a Rams team that's more offensive firepower is through the air and it's pouring down snow and they're wearing white as well, might I add. It's it's pretty rough. And so for the Rams, look, the good thing here is I actually got a positive thing for you guys. And that is the Rams have proven they should be an automatic favorite especially in the NFC West until Stafford retires. I feel like it's a given. You don't even have to. I don't think there's any argument going forward now, especially the way that 49ers have handled things lately. It's gonna be very another thing to keep an eye on this NFL offseason is how did the 49ers respond? But at the time being, it's definitely the Rams division. And I don't foresee them letting it go until this man retires because they got the defense now. They've proven that. I feel like that's the main backbone to this take is that it's the defensive side of things. People doubted their defense because Aaron Donald was leaving. I was one of them. And they got him. They got me at least. They definitely got me. So you got to give them where their credit's due. I mean, the Rams, it's the like I said, in the chemistry between Cup and Stafford and Puka Nakua is already incredible too. So it's like, what the real flaw here is maybe they go out and shop for another running back. Maybe just help out Kyron Williams, but they already did that. I don't know if Blake Corum's going to do anything, but it's still like they're just probably maybe just shooting their shot to see if they ever get a star running back, and then this thing is really going to take some steam again, almost like how they had Todd Gurley and everything in those days. If they can get a real power back like him again, where he can just finish the job for him within 2 yards, it'd be a game changer. So yeah, for the Rams, that's probably the most positive thing that was said so far. So good job for you guys, man. All right, last game, and it's the tough pill to swallow once again for me and rooting for some local team. And this is the home team, the hometown team, and Bills hosted the Ravens, and boy oh boy, was it at least a good one. I mean, you can't be mad at that part. It was at least a good one. But at the end of the day, the Bills did come out on top, and they are the ones going to Kansas City. They get their chance against Kansas City. They get a chance to prove to people that this is one of those years where they figured it out. And that is the number one takeaway from this game is that can the Bills actually pull this thing off? Or did it, or is it going to be true that once again, they just won the game that doesn't matter in the regular season? I mean, we've had great games played by these teams, both postseason and regular season. But the ones that matter the most, as everyone knows, is the ones that happen in the playoffs. So for the Chiefs, I mean, I think they're excited for this because it's a very young Bills offense. But at the same time, this is also a veteran Bills defense. That is something that I have taken away also from this game. So that the Bills do have a veteran defense because they're trying to lie and say that they didn't say Von Miller's name much. They said Von Miller's name a lot. Ed Oliver, I don't think he's in the older conversation yet, but he is a vet. He knows he's an all-pro for sure. Um, and let's go ahead and on top of the fact that they got their linebackers back. So it's all coming into great form for Sean McDermott and his defense right there. And you have a lot of trust in Josh Allen to guide the offense. And most importantly, this is the part that most people are saying. Most importantly, he didn't turn the ball over. And that's the big stinger. I mean, if you're Baltimore here, um, you just turned the ball over at the wrong time, couldn't come up with a big moment. And my little quote for you guys is you're spiraling. You're probably scratching your head right now still. You don't know what just happened. You don't know what to do going forward either. The real question you're probably asking yourself is what needs to be changed and who's even coming back? These are all hard things to realize if you're thinking about it for the Ravens. It's going to be they're going to be another team you're going to have to keep an eye on because, yeah, they do have the guaranteed going forward, you got these set of guys, Lamar, Henry, you got, I don't know if Bateman's coming back, but you do have Flowers coming back. You might have Mandrews coming back, even after the catch. He's probably coming back, folks. You might have Mark Andrews. You might have Isaiah Likely. I think he's coming back too. You hear all these names, and you're just like, okay, yeah, this is still going to be the offensive crew. We still got Rashawn Smith on the defensive side, but that all sounds great. You've been running it, but it didn't work. So it's like, what needs to be changed? I feel like that's the only thing is because you had the roster. So what needs to be changed? And me personally, it's probably going to have to go back to the DBs. It's the hardest position in football, and it's one that is also very hard to be successful in. So you gotta go take another swing at a DB, I guess, and and sacrifice the chance of not getting Lamar a weapon and say, Lamar, you got to do it a little bit more yourself, or you go out and try again and get another wide receiver like you've been trying for the past couple seasons. So it's a very, like I said, you're scratching your head. Like you've been doing everything that's right. You've been picking up these solid veteran corners, trying to hope that they get second wind here. It's you're trying, and you're just like, what needs to change to be successful? Because you know that it has to happen. The window's not entirely closed. But gosh darn, it is not going to be open forever. It is not, especially and it will be, the problem is your window is shared with Joe Burrow. And that's the hardest thing to accept is you got to hope that every season you get past those guys, those cornballs, as they say here on this podcast, and hopefully get over that hump. So there you have it, folks. That is the NFL divisional round prediction or reactions, I should say, not predictions. We already predicted. These will be reactions. And so now we're going to go into our four, not three this time, four quick little NBA things. So first things first, we got like I said, I'm going with the Western Conference. So you got to give me, let me clear the air here first, actually, before I dive completely in. I have to pause myself for a second here. Little, again, a little Emperor come in here, Emperor Cusco, pause. Here we go. Um, Not still getting my NBA legs ready underneath me, guys. I'm doing this solo. Colby's the main NBA guy, but I'm still giving it my best shot because I am still pretty good at picking out some interesting things to keep an eye on. That I am good at when it comes to the NBA. I do ask some good questions for the NBA. So hear me out is what I'm saying. All right, resume. Little sound effect there. Anyways, can the Clippers, especially after their win last night, stay out of the play-in? They're in a four-game win streak, and they are a top 10 defense right now. So I thought of this question because it's the Clippers. I mean, what do you expect? There's gonna be moments where these guys are gonna probably take a break, right? There's gonna be moments where they gotta let the other roster play. So will they end up sacrificing games, or will they actually, have a little spunk underneath them and actually play, the games that they need to play so they'd actually get a good chance, a good position, a good seed to not be in the, not play against the Thunder of the league. And maybe it might be a favorable matchup for you too, if you think about it, especially when you have the veterans. But this is a question that I have to really strongly consider as interesting because also it's the Clippers. I mean, who talks about the Clippers that much? And they got Kawhi back. I think Kawhi is back to playing with this team. James Harden has been silently keeping them alive. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a bigger name though on the Clippers right now that is probably helping them out. So I just want to give the Clippers a shout out though. I feel like they got the respect. They got out of like I said, I feel like right now they're not in the play-in hunt. I'm pretty sure. So that's the main reason why I wrote that question down is because they're interesting. Yeah, they're number five, 2 games behind the Nuggets, but they also have 2 games up on pretty much everyone else. I'm not even going to list them out. It's pretty much everyone else because after today's loss, it's not great. But not for the Clippers, by the way. I'm talking about my Wolves. Anyways, so yeah, good question. Starting with the Clippers, right? Who would have thought? Number two, who should be concerned and ready to make a move? Right? That's what I said. Oh yeah, who's ready to make a move more? Sorry, sometimes my work handwriting, I was in a hurry to write this one down. And that is the Golden State Warriors, especially after the 40-point loss that they took today. The Suns, who I also think got smacked by the Cavs. So both teams, by the way, Warriors losing to the Celtics, and then the Cavs coming in to beat the Suns. Cavs beat the Wolves as well. Only team that they couldn't beat is the Thunder. It's it's almost like it's written in stone, folks. It's almost like it's written in stone. But besides those two old head teams, I have the Spurs. And so who should be making the move the most? And the reason why I put the Spurs on here, and I'm going to start with them, It's because they made this move for Chris Paul, thinking that it would help develop their team a little bit better, pretty much get them right in that position where they did with the Thunder when he was on there, help develop the guys, help get them going. But it just looks like it's not really working out. I feel like they need to get somebody else to get running the offense, maybe somebody that can pair off better with Wemby. And that's the thing. That's the main pressure here is, are you trying to get Wemby into the playoffs or even the play in? You're not even in the play in conversation right now. You're a couple games out of the play in. So it's, can you get these guys, can you get Wemby into this playoff, into the postseason conversation? Because if so, you'll give your fans at least a little more hope, and it's not like you're tanking again. Like, come on, you gotta, it's time. It's time. It's that simple. It's just time. You've been sitting low for too long. Let's get this thing going a little bit, I think it's time to get this thing going. It's the same thing that I had a problem with when it came to the Pistons last season, is that it felt like it was just taking a little too long. And it was probably just the wrong, at that time it was probably Monty Williams. It probably was not the best idea to hire him. But right now, it looks like they got the right thing going. But it's time. That's the main thing. And that's why I had the Spurs on there. For the Warriors, they're coming out here pretty much doing PR to make sure that they can cool off as many fires as possible about Curry leaving, or making sure that Curry is happy, and make sure they, extend his window as much as possible. Um, and keeping the foundation of the team together. That's what they were saying. It sounds like the time's a ticking in Golden State, in Sacramento, right? I think that's where they went off to, or are they officially in San Francisco? It's hard to tell. No, San Francisco. Yeah. Why would they be in Sacktown? Makes no sense. Um, sorry, Sacramento. Anyways, for Golden State, it's gonna be a tough one, man. I don't know. And I'm looking at when I looked at their roster, it wasn't like the most appealing thing to go shop for. And it's not like they made the right. And my opinion is they really went, I thought to myself was they really thought getting these names and pairing them up with Curry would solve it. And I thought it was just interesting decisions. Maybe it's just ones that you're not used to seeing. Obviously, it's a new GM. And so it's just interesting how they're going about things. And I wouldn't be surprised if people started turning up the rumor mill just a little bit more, just to hopefully spark something for the Warriors come trade deadline. But it's not great. And the Suns here, it's pretty much that this one was also pretty much written in stone. It's the whole Bradley Beal thing and how they're trying to figure out what's going on with him. Are they going to trade him? What's up with his minutes? Why is he coming off the bench now? He's not happy. No one really cares that he's happy. So it's just like, who's going to even take him anyways? Because the contract's really atrocious, as Colby would say. So it's really just trying to figure out who would who would even take who would the Suns shop with to take this contract, and what would happen? Who would they have to give up even in spite just to keep someone to take it? And who would they add on at that point if you are going to get rid of this guy? So he is a vet. He can probably help you out come playoff time if you find a way to manage with him and keep the peace. But said those things before, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure everyone said those things before last season when they played against before they played against the Timberwolves. These are things to be concerned about when you're the Suns. I think like maybe pull the trigger on this, make sure you try and get some new blood before this, try and get that new chemistry built off just before the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they're in the hunt here. I'm going to double check that real quick. So there has to be a good reason why. Yeah, they're number 10. So that this whole question was based around the 10, 11, and 12 seed. So all three teams pretty much knocking on the door, but the Spurs are a couple games behind the Warriors, I'm pretty sure. All right. My one Eastern Conference question, and then we got one more after that for Western Conference. So the one Eastern and one Western to wrap things up here. For the Eastern Conference, we got, I love picking on this team a little bit. Maybe it's just because of the times. But right now, my question is, should the Sixers hit a small reset of some kind? Uh, they're 11th in the Eastern Conference. Joel's hurt again. What what are we waiting for, guys? Like, what are we doing? I guess I understand he's averaging a double double when he plays. He almost has a triple double because of the assists. I mean, I understand. He puts up great numbers. He's a great player. He's done great things for the city. It's time. I think you gotta, I think it's starting to be to the point where it's putting a detriment to your team because, yeah, he's a great guy, but you're relying so much on him offensively that now when you don't have him, it's just now even getting harder to watch. I thought Tyrese Maxey was going to be the guy for you guys. He got paid, and now I mean, he's trying to put on the show, but it's still challenging even for him. That's because people are starting to figure him out, maybe. But I don't know. The Sixers, I think they're just going to be another team where you have to keep a look on them because the roster, I mean, maybe it's because the moves they made in the offseason weren't the best moves. You have to remember they did lose a lot of talent. So pretty sure, yeah, they came into with only like three, four players rostered after the postseason because of contracts ran out. So they had to pretty much reshop this entire team. And at that point, I would say good luck. Maybe it's time to reset it a little bit more and everything. Try and get some more value with this reset. Maybe let Paul George go. Maybe let Paul George. Anyways, well, he's done some good things too. I'll give him that. He's done some good things too, I guess. All right, number four, last question, Western Conference of the day. And that is, who do you trust more at number two in the Western Conference? So who do I think is going to be the number two seed here for when it comes playoff time? This is a making a guess here in January 20th. I have the three teams because I don't think the Thunder are going to let it go, the number one seed. So the three teams I have in mind are the three teams that are pretty much fighting for that spot, kind of, sorta. And it's right now the Rockets hold it, and then it's followed by the Grizz and the Nuggets. Nuggets are at the four, and the Rockets are at two. So do I think the reason why I wrote this is because I don't think I can trust the Rockets currently. And especially after today's game, the Wolves against the Grizzlies, I can really see it's really hard to tell me now that the Grizzlies are not going to be the number two seed. I would I would have a hard time believing it. I have a new faith in the Grizzlies unless something catastrophic happens. I do think the Grizzlies are going to push for the two seed here. Um, and it's just the fact that this team just is so complete for some reason with John Morant on it. It's insane. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, yeah, they were a great, solid team without him, but dude, this team isn't, it's even more fun to watch when they have him. I mean, they overcame an 11-point deficit against my Timberwolves in the middle of the day. I mean, like I had a chance to watch this game live, well, more like through Gamecast. So I was more heartbroken just to see the time just go. Anthony Edwards missed shot, game over. That was really, really rough to read. But man, this one, I mean, it really speaks volumes for how the team is made, though, because this is supposed to be rivalry week. And sure, I'm supposed to try and find a way to talk it up for the Rockets. I mean, maybe it's Ime Udoka, maybe he's just figured this thing out already. And he's going to just be able to hold this thing up till the Sioux seed. And if that's so, hope that they don't get a veteran seven seed like the Lakers trying to fish around or the Clippers trying to fish around for the two seed mashup against a young team, young Rockets team. That's their only catch. They just got to now hope that they get like a Wolves or something. Because if they have the Wolves, I mean, that would be a fun. That's just a fun series. Probably any team can win it. I would lean Rockets at the time because I am very disappointed in my Timberwolves as of today, as of today. So I'll give the Rockets definitely the head above on that one. And as for the Nuggets, Jokic, man, Jokic is by far and beyond just a guy in his own league. It's the reason why they're here. It's the reason why they're still relevant in the NBA. It's ridiculous. I mean, the team is doing okay, just fine, I would say. I don't know if Jamal Murray's finally got his act together, but everything else just seems like it's still taking decent form. I'm pretty sure they just missed up on a couple of big games as of late, but besides that, they're still doing Nuggets things with Jokic. This Jokic era Nuggets, they're still doing. Jokic things, they're still just out here competing. They smacked the Heat. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like, what was their most recent game I watched? I did watch them play the Heat. That was just an absolute slapping. So, yeah. And so, how would I rank this really? I would go Grizz, probably go as the number two seed. Just the way things are right now, though, I could definitely see the Rockets not falling too far. I feel like the Grizz might just snag it away from them at the last second. And to Colby's dismay, I think the Nuggets are going to keep that four seed, believe it or not. Because, like I said, there is still a little bit of question marks. They're still doing Jokic things, but Jokic is cooking as much as he can. But it's starting to look like the league is trying to figure out and poke holes in his game just a little bit. Or the dude's just, tired from carrying the team all the damn time. So who knows? Those are my four NBA things. Probably went on a little bit longer than I should have, but probably looks like I made it around an hour, so not too shabby. But anyways, whoa, final thought. I can't wrap this thing up too fast. Gotta give up my final thought here. Well, college football seems to be coming to a anticlimactic end. To some, you could say, well, this is a strong argument as to why Notre Dame needs to be put into a conference. To others, this can just be a complete showing of what Ryan Day and the Ohio State team can really do. One of the best built rosters, I think they said, of the season because of how much money they can spend. And it's proven. It's working right now. The money is speaking for itself. So, and it's not like Notre Dame's a cheap school either. For God's sakes, they got gold on them helmets. But to college football in general, I would say this college football playoff thing was a very interesting experiment because both these two teams playing right now are the 7 and 8. The top four seeded teams, they had a week off and all of them lost. Pretty sure all of them lost. And so now it's just getting to the point where was it the formatting? Was the format just wrong? Should just all teams go right after the rip so they can just stay because these are college kids. Maybe they just need to stay in routine and keep it going. It's going to be it's a very interesting question going forward for college football. There are a lot of good questions going into the off season here on the podcast, but for college football especially, is the ESPN trying to tease us that Nick Saban's trying to be the commissioner, or is that just a inside joke that Pat McAfee's trying to start? Because they could use one. It would help answer a lot of questions that we have. I just don't think, I just don't think it would, I don't know if that would do much in the first year. Having a set of rules is a lot of moving around. Sure, it's not pretty right now. But there's a lot of other unpleasant things. I seen before I actually started this episode, I seen UCLA's coach have a problem with being in the Big Ten and how he's already traveled across the country several times, and the wear and tear is unfair for his school. Newsflash: the Pac-12 was still there. It wasn't his decision to leave, but still. It's just an interesting time in college sports, but for college football in general and the playoff, I think it was a very interesting success. I hate to say it. It gave us games, it gave us entertainment, gave us good storylines. I mean, for God's sakes, here's Notre Dame just scoring a touchdown. Now it's a 16-point game because they did go for two. So now it's a two-score game. We could see maybe something can happen here. I mean, we got 3 minutes left of the third. So pick six can really spark things up and give life to the college football season one last time. But altogether, I mean, I'm just rambling at this point. Altogether, college football, man, it's been some pretty good stuff. What can I say?